Live. The crypto ghost town is no longer a ghost town. Everybody's coming back to crypto after everybody left. Everybody in, everybody out. That was 3 or 4 days ago in a complete moment of despair, literally, which of course is the moment where Bitcoin and crypto break out in a very epic fashion as the upcoming eclipse and the changes at the Fed goose crypto when no one's looking. It's as simple as that. Saw a statistic today, $400 million in shorts liquidated. So, but before we get into all the reasons why this is happening, all the reasons why this is going to continue to happen, as in altcoins rallying, I want to first tell you, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, right? And if you like this new time, please leave a comment down below. If you like the new time, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the show. Now, for our big show tonight, we are going to cover live TA. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin. Looks like a breakout. Looks like a breakout. Smells like a breakout. Acts like a breakout. It's a breakout. Zcash. Privacy. Oh, wait. Dash was up 50% today. Did we mention that last night? But did we mention it on a video in our YouTube member area on January 1? That is pinned on my Twitter. Hello. Hello. All right. So a lot of people took off. A lot of people gave up. Come on back. Come on back. As Toby's been telling you, don't give up. We've been pumping altcoin picks. Like I saw Arweave, one of our AI altcoin picks, up 10%. That's when I looked earlier today. So altcoins are rallying. Now, here's a hint as to why. You have a market that is so cheap relative to equities. You are going to have an equity market sort of disturbance coming up, or I would say a change in sector leadership, because, you know, the tariffs are probably going to be illegal. We'll talk about that. And earnings are coming out. So if everybody decides to start reallocating money to Bitcoin, which I think started today when it pressed 95, that allows a dramatically oversold altcoin market to go with it. Led by, I don't know, AI, real world assets, DeFi, even some meme coins. It's as simple as that. If Big Boy refused to go down, if Bitcoin was supposed to go down, if it was over, if it was winter, if it was dead, if it was never coming back again, and that was true, what's it going to do? Well, it's going to go straight up. Straight up. Right? And people are going to be like, oh my God, it's up. I can't buy it. No, don't start that. Even if there's volatility off this tariff announcement, the Powell news we discussed last night is finally sinking in. Consider two things. If tariffs are declared illegal, yes, that makes government financing worse, but that benefits Bitcoin. And he's got to put all this money back in the system. You know, it's going to be billions upon billions upon billions that he's got to like refund. It's going to be like an liquidity injection. It's going to be so big. Combine this with the fact that Jerome Powell is done. Jerome Powell is absolutely done. Anything he says or does is going to get discounted or laughed at. So if he doesn't cut rates at any of these future Fed meetings because of the deterioration in the labor market, we got a report coming out about this disconnect between the economy and the labor market and which cryptos you want to get. That's going in Patreon Platinum, which in the next 36 hours, right? When you consider that he either cuts now or whoever comes in May cuts massively in front of the midterm elections. Because again, as I said last night, the reason they want him out now with this lawfare thing is because they need rates cut now so that the job market improves or the economic situation for the common man improves by the election, or so they think. So if he doesn't cut now, they're coming in with the bazooka in May. And markets can trade you know, with 5 to 6 months in the future in mind, right? If there's going to be a big catalyst in May, we can start trading it in January. And that is what is happening. It's taking the market a day or so to figure it out. But you cannot have a massive QE event from the Fed, a massive rate cut cycle from the Fed starting in a couple of months and have crypto be a ghost town. It's not happening because there's only two ways to devalue the dollar: precious metals and crypto. You can't devalue the dollar in the foreign exchange market because, you know, nobody wants to sell the dollar and buy the euro and the yen. The yen disaster is disturbing. So no one's doing that. So you've got two choices. Now, if you want the cherry on top, if you want the dessert, which is going to be a good lens to look at not just crypto, but privacy and everything else. Oh, look at this. Look what we have here. Look what we have here. Big brother going to wind up working at the Fed. A little misdirection here. You know, talk about two of the main candidates. And, oh, we're going to interview a guy from BlackRock for Fed Chairman. Oh, yeah. We're not draining a swamp. We're promoting the swamp creatures. By the way, BlackRock owns, you know, the most profitable thing that, you know, most profitable thing. So let me start over. The most profitable business vertical BlackRock has is the Bitcoin ETF. So can you imagine the Fed chairman officially being in the pocket of a gigantic Bitcoin holder? Like, it almost makes me giddy. Because, again, it's all about misdirection, right? It's like, oh, here's candidate A, and here's candidate B, and oh, here's the guy from BlackRock. You know, because the other guys won't cut rates the way he wants rates to get cut. I mean, he's going to interview people until somebody says, we're cutting rates to 1%. And, you know, Eagle King reporting right now, this is not a surprise in the Asia timeframe that you have a new high in silver. Silver is going to be done with 90 by the time we're done with the show. And that's because silver's already trading at 130 in China. And what's funny about the crypto ghost town, and I know I said this yesterday, YouTube video viewership of crypto content at 4-year low. People calling crypto a ghost town. The only way to get any attention on a crypto live stream is to put silver in the title. Now, silver moving, we've talked about it. There's going to be a failure to deliver physical silver at some point. It's a classic commodity market panic. That said, it's become a distraction for crypto people. People are not looking at Bitcoin, right? They're not saying, hey, you know, can Bitcoin go to 115 in a month? Can Bitcoin take out the 55-week moving average? Remember all that? Remember all that hysterics about, oh my God, it broke down. Oh my God, the 4-year cycle. Yeah, what happens if that kind of ends quickly? Because you got a lot of cryptocurrencies. Like, I'm looking at one of our data coins, Pyth, just quickly taking out the 50-day moving average, XRP. Oh my God, look at this. I mean, Toby has a favorite other than XRP. That said, I don't know, guys. This looks like a break of the 50-day moving average to me. This looks like a return move to the 50-day moving average. Press it a little bit below there to make sure everyone still hates it, and then boom. You don't need, I mean, that's like technical analysis textbook, page 20. Support, resistance, buy breakouts. Arrow is up 6%. This is like since the session, since the end of the day session. This thing wants to go up. And you know that, right? I mean, you've been around long enough. You start getting, you know, certain AI coins, right? You start getting Arrow. And then if any of the three big coins start moving, XRP, Solana, or ETH, forget about it. Now, I was on a stream with somebody else today. I did a little stream with Crypto Princess. You definitely want to check her out. I'm on that show every Tuesday, you know, helping her with macro and whatever else, trying to, you know, get her channel going. And she says on the stream that Bitcoin's market cap is only 1.8 trillion. And I was like, that can't be right. I almost said that on the stream. I'm like, let me look it up first. And lo and behold, I'm sitting here looking at it. Bitcoin's market cap is 1.8 trillion. Because I know we're always talking about total crypto market cap around 3T. And I'm like, let me get this straight. We have NVIDIA at 4 trillion or 5 trillion. We have silver just leaped over that. So silver, an alternative form of money with a use case, now leaps NVIDIA. And we have Bitcoin at 1.8 trillion. So I just looked at that and I was like, well, okay. Bitcoin should be at 4 or 5 trillion with all these other things. I mean, can someone tell me why that's not true? Software you can't replicate with a chatbot, right? The only network that takes advantage of centralized failure. Like, for example, silver's weakness is that if you have a centralized failure in the U.S. futures market system, that can create total chaos in that market. Now, chaos probably on the upside in the beginning, but I mean, you know, Bitcoin as a network, as a trading network is not going to fail. You have centralized exchanges in crypto have problems, obviously. But, you know, one asset that benefits from a lower dollar is at 4 trillion and Bitcoin is at 1.8. And that's ridiculous. Excuse my French. That is ridiculous. If you look at it from that lens, it's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know, it's like ETH is only 300 billion. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm sure if you go down the market cap chart and look at 2 billion, like stuff that's worth 2 billion, that's what the Fed building costs. You know, like the Fed building costs more than Near Protocol, ICP. Seriously, the Fed building is more than all these projects. WorldCoin at 1.6 billion. Sky, formerly Maker, Caspa. A lot of these coins just keep showing up over and over. It showed up all through 2025, and we had to live with that. And now they're showing up again. Render is at 1.2 billion. So let's get this straight. Render, a multi-coin capital holding, labeled the NVIDIA of crypto because of its ability to solve or at least contribute to the solution of the GPU shortage, is 1.2 billion, is worth half as much as the new Fed building. Now, okay, I know that's a little bit ridiculous, but you did liquidate $400 million worth of shorts today. People are short, people are bearish, people are underinvested, people are not looking at content. And I understand why. I mean, you don't think doing this every day for Patreon, for the YouTube member area? I mean, we even had a joke thumbnail not a joke thumbnail for the YouTube member area where, you know, Toby was like, it's going up. And I'm like, grumpy face. And when you're dealing with this on a day in and day out basis, it looked absolutely horrible. It looked like it was over. This was like, there was a part of me that said, see you in October. This is done. We'll see you in October. And then I realized one important thing, that I had a very similar moment after seeing a discouraging Benjamin Cohen headline right before the election. I was like, this is over. I mean, his headline was true. It's like altcoins are never coming back. It's done. They're going back to where they were in 2018 versus Bitcoin. It is over. The exact same scenario, not picking on him. He was picking up on the pulse of the market. It was over, done. And of course, that's the low, right? What happens at a low? Total despair. What happens at the high? You're wearing a lampshade on your head. You're wearing your red baseball cap. And when you're not wearing your red baseball cap, you're wearing a lampshade on your head, and the president and his wife issue a meme coin. So, like, we've seen both extremes. We've all gotten an education. And now this thing's just going to turn around and rip the other way. Like I said last night, what exactly is the downside catalyst for Bitcoin? There isn't any. Oh, it's going to be a stock market disaster. Okay, well, if the tariff news comes out and the stock market's not a disaster, who cares? Right? I mean, do you realize how much crypto, after this October 10th debacle, right? Let me actually count the number of days. I don't want to put the screen share up because I know our friends on TikTok and on the vertical stream won't see it. Okay. So between the Binance debacle and the low at Thanksgiving, that was 45 days. So you had 45 days of down only. Then you had 50 days of crypto doing nothing. So you had 45 down and 50 winter. I mean, it's like mini cycles. So they spent 100 days getting everyone out. And they did a great job. They did a great job, right? It was like everyone was interested when it was going down, and then they just ground you into sand. And then, boom. First thing that's going to start happening on Monday, right as these Magnificent Seven, all these earnings are going to come out. They're going to start doing asset allocation, and money is coming in into the Bitcoin ETF, XRP, any crypto ETF, and any crypto mining stock. Remember what I said yesterday? When all those mining stocks were up, they were the leading indicator. And frankly, crypto hasn't caught up yet because, you had Bitcoin mining stocks up 4 and 5%. Okay, yeah, Bitcoin, very exciting, 95K. I mean, that's very exciting because it was a ghost town, but is that really exciting? Or is Bitcoin at 105? I mean, can you see CNBC when and if Bitcoin blows through 100? I mean, this can totally happen. Now, will there need to be a pause that refreshes at some point? Yeah, probably. But that may be just a pause. Because the thing that's funny about Bitcoin, right? If we look at this, because I've been trying to get confirmation on this to the point where I can't even talk about it anymore, right? This is the Bitcoin daily chart. This is the 13 bottom from the middle of December. And for whatever reason, every time this thing goes up, we can't get confirmation because it doesn't stay up. Guess what? This thing stays up. We got confirmation. We actually had confirmation yesterday. Now, we've seen that signal before, and it's been a fake out. This is one of the first times that, you've had that big green candle. It was bird on a wire getting ready to fly on top of that DeMark moving average. You get the idea. You get the idea. You had Dash, which, we have a price target, I think, in the YouTube member area that is way higher than where it is right now. And you know what? I wouldn't leave Zcash out of the equation. Zcash hit the 50% retracement of the overall move around 400. 404 was the number. I know last night I was talking about 314, but then I remember Toby said, first she said, don't buy Zcash at 500, wait for the 3 handle. Ding. Then I looked at this thing, and then she said, yeah, I'm probably done with that. And I realized that the 50% retracement is at 404. So if Zcash holds the 50% retracement, which is a very Gannish number, 62% is typically, that's a lot of times where you get corrections in crypto, but I'm very interested in Zcash if it holds 400. Because we had Monero, then we had Dash and Decred. Decred being this fork of Bitcoin that's ancient, but that improves on its proof of work mechanism, believe it or not. And what's next? Is it Bitcoin Cash, or is it a monster move up in Zcash? Something's next, because that's what it's been. I mean, that is the game. Sitting around and waiting for 10 different coins to 10x is not going to work. I mean, it may work at some point in this cycle, but not now. You got to know what you're doing. You got to have the right picks, which is why you got to have, frankly, our services. If I don't say so myself, not investment advice. Virtuals. Okay. Breakout. Hit the 50-day moving average yesterday. Come screaming back. Huge reversal. And money flow has not yet started to come in, but that could change. So if you get some sort of disturbance dip on this tariff thing and this market starts coming back, or at least holds its ground, Bitcoin's going back to the 55-week moving average. And all these characters that told you that the cycle and everything was over, you got to think about this psychologically. Toby always says, you know, she's really interested in the psychology of the market. What happens if all these guys who are looking for the apocalypse in February, they're assuming that affects Bitcoin negatively, whatever the event in February it is. I think it's Powell, and it's already happened because there's a Fed meeting in February. Let me start over again. What happens if all these guys who are like, the cycle's over, the 55-week moving average is broken, there's no way this is going to recover, the charts are broken? What happens when all those people have to turn it around? Because right now, as one guy says, it's not entirely obvious. Although to me, with the Powell thing, it is. But to the average crypto heads who just got done leaving, right? I mean, you know, it's like they left and the door latched, click. They got in their car to leave and never come back, and the market went the other way. Now they all got to turn the car around. You know, and what happens if they look at Twitter and be like, oh, yeah, this guy was all bearish and it was the 4-year cycle. And now he's like, the 4-year cycle is dead. You better buy it. Those people will probably start coming back in at 110 because it'll go to 100 and people won't believe it. It's probably 95 now. They don't believe it. Right. But when it goes back to 100, people are going to sell. I'm telling you, everyone's going to go, you know what? Oh, thank you very much. It's at 100. I'm selling. Wrong. I mean, I understand the market is not in the mood to go straight up. We're not there yet. However, we are seeing that people do absolutely positively want to buy the dip. They want to buy the dip. And even though it looks terrible, guess what? It's not a bull market until you can buy a dip and make money. Can you imagine somebody from BlackRock running the Fed? I mean, you gotta take a moment. You got to take a moment and let that sink in. I mean, it's less obvious, but it's the next best thing to having Michael Saylor running the Fed. And then you have to start taking, you know, this silver stuff seriously. Because, you know, y'all probably think I make this stuff up about like some kind of centralized exchange failure. CME shifts margin math as silver soars amid thin London inventories. So what these futures exchanges try to do is they try to raise the margin requirements so that you can't be long. Like, you know, they're trying to get smaller players and then medium-sized players. You know, you got to put up so much money to hold one silver futures contract that they're just discouraging buyers. Now, again, that normally works, and they have more tricks that they can do. Like they can just say, no more physical delivery. It's cash settled like Polymarket. You bet on the price, we settle your account, no physical delivery. They can do that. Question is, you know, if China limits exports, and silver's already trading at 130, and this is their way of pushing back against the orange man because we're taking all their oil investments in Venezuela, no doubt. This is their way of pushing back. So if you have hysterical upside in silver, some people think you have to wait for silver to top before crypto goes. Okay, maybe we have to wait for silver to top before Bitcoin acts like silver, maybe. But this dollar debasement trade, like if they can't do it in fiat currencies, they really maybe can't do it in equities anymore because, you know, upside there may be kind of limited short term. There's only one place left to go. There's only one place left to go. Right. And then you add to the fact that, you know, no matter what anybody says, cryptocurrencies have a value proposition. And everybody's talking about, oh, you know, stable coins. Oh, yeah, it's a huge trade. It's going to 4 trillion. Okay. Well, doesn't that mean you're going to need fast layer ones? And, oh, AI is coming. It's going to take everyone's job. Robots are going to be everywhere. Okay. Aren't we going to have to start with the robots and the AI trading first? And what are they going to trade on? Well, I don't know. How about Sui? Sui never was, Sui couldn't get back to the 50-day moving average. Couldn't get back there before everyone was like, yeah, I got to buy it. Now, again, you can still see bag holders selling. You can see that. I mean, you can see it in altcoins. That's what's going to happen. People are like, oh, thank God. 100 days of extreme pain. That's a long time in crypto. That's a long time. 100 days of extreme pain, especially when it's 50 straight down and 50 winter. Like, you want to know what crypto winter was like? You just went through one. Just went through one. Everyone's like, the bull market is over. And I'm like, what bull market? What bull market? Bitcoin was unchanged versus where it was last year at roughly the same time. Most altcoins went to their discount zone on LuxAlgo charts and stayed there. So you had a bear market last year and you had winter in January. I'm sorry, in December and January. Right? T-Bone, welcome. He says, you know, it'll take a while, but XRP was mentioned in the Clarity Act. And by the way, one benefit of being in a Patreon group is some of our guys in Patreon are so smart, they have a better call, or they have better insight, or they have different insight that is useful than I do. And T-Bone has been saying, you're not going to get a mega bull rally in crypto until they do the Clarity Act or start talking about it seriously. And guess what? They're going to need some kind of bipartisan thing to get the crypto bro vote, whether they like crypto or not. Crypto bros, you know, income between, you know, like 80 and 150K, right? It's a huge demographic. They got to get that demographic to win, right? There's extreme right, extreme left, and crypto bros in the middle who really don't care who's going to moon my bags. They have to get these people. Not to mention the fact that the Orange Man has to get the Crypto Clarity Act done. Otherwise, they're going to unwind all his personal investments when everything inevitably shifts back to the left. So Congress has to get it done, and he has to get it done personally. It's going to get done. It's going to get done. You know, and what really strikes me as funny, especially when it comes to the AI data center build out and how big this AI trade is going to be, and Bitcoin and crypto's place in that, both Bitcoin and altcoins are coming out with another report where we're like, hey, this is like the AI future. This is what's happening. As one guy said, capitalism and free markets are starting to break down a little bit. Where do you want to be? Like, these type of things are happening right now. And a lot of the political talk about things like Greenland are a distraction, right? It's political theater because no one is talking about the commodities and the assets that we're going to try to pull out of Venezuela. Everyone's like, oh, AI is a bubble. AI is going to blow up at any moment. Okay. Is that why we're taking out countries' leadership? We're like doing regime change and then taking their oil tankers and their oil and sending it to the refining facilities, you know, across the ocean a little bit there in Texas. You know what I'm saying? Like, where, like, Google, you know, who's got control of Venezuela's silver right now? Or what is the relationship between JP Morgan and the silver resources of Venezuela? And see what it comes up with. I haven't done it yet, but I mean, it's a bubble, but we got to go take over other countries to get their resources in order to build it. Because China has like a 40-year head start. But it's all a bubble, right? It's never going up. It's not happening. No, bro. It very much is happening. Very much is happening. Right? Solana, you know, which understandably everybody is kind of down on, everybody except Multicoin Capital and Galaxy Digital. Okay. Solana, which, you know, has just failed miserably at the 50-day moving average multiple times. You know, Solana did bird on a wire, right? Solana broke through several days ago on the 5th of January and then just sat on top of the 50-day moving average. Just sat there, and, you know, you can tell by these candles, right? Everyone's like, it goes up, then it comes back off. Thank God I can sell. It goes up, oh, I can sell. Thank God. Right? Then people buy the dip down here, but still goes up, it comes down, right? It goes up, it comes down. That was yesterday. Oh, thank God I can get out of Solana. Okay. Yeah. You know, you want an explanation for today? Yeah, everyone's out. Everyone's out. It's a ghost town. Everyone left, which means everyone is out. And even ETH today, not bringing up the chart, ETH is trying to push through the 50. Actually, it did more than push through the 50-day moving average today. After sitting below it, kind of looking like not so good, right? And was like, oh, wow, this has an ETF, huh? Heard one word on Twitter about the Bitcoin ETF lately. Not a word, right? A whole bunch of money came in the early part of January. People took tax losses. After that, you haven't heard one word about it. You don't need to hear a word about it if BlackRock's running the Fed. BlackRock's already running the Fed, but if BlackRock is officially running the Fed, forget about it. BlackRock's running the Fed. Bessent wants the ability to create money. The U.S. government has to issue $9 trillion in bonds. The new Fed chairman's first job, along with Bessent, is to do something that creates demand for our debt, which means get on the tape and talk dovishly all day long. Talk about the labor market. Talk about how much suffering there is. Talk about whatever it is you have to talk about to get rates down. Get rates down, period. Housing is locked. The biggest mistake Powell made was when he raised rates, he crushed the things that were not creating inflation. That has to get unwound like that, and crypto is just starting to figure that out. Just starting. No one else is talking about this except me. No one. Right. In other words, the regime change at the Fed is going to be massive. Not only does the guy that has to come in actually academically and intellectually have to get rates down because of the labor market and the housing market, because the housing market isn't functioning properly because there's no seller. So they have to get that market so that it functions again. But then there's also going to be this whole idea that this Fed and can just do whatever they want, whenever they want. It's over because Powell screwed up twice. First, he left rates too low for too long. Then he over-tightened. And now when he should be unwinding it aggressively, he's not. Just because, the president got on Twitter and, said some stupid things, which, maybe he shouldn't have, but I don't know if Powell would have changed his mind anyway. Because, first tariffs were going to create inflation. Wrong. I mean, it's just like if you look at everything Powell's ever said, it's like wrong, 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 wrong. If you were that wrong at Wall Street, you would have been fired a long time ago. So the Fed's going to get the bazooka out. They're already doing QE. Everyone ignored that. Everyone ignored that. I mean, it's like, they've already come in and they're already supporting the banks. Like, I don't think the banks, I just think they came in and said, we can't let the banks fail. And they're probably going to have to do the same thing with any bank that's affected by silver. Right? It was like, oh my God, a bank's going to fail. No, it's not. Because they're just going to come in massively. Every time you have anything negative that might affect, that's why Citibank and a lot of big banks have actually been going up. Let me see if I can pull this chart up. I don't know. I haven't necessarily looked to see what these banks are doing. I mean, they've obviously corrected last couple of days, probably off this. Oh my God, Powell. Where's Powell? Oh my God. But still, I mean, like when the Fed came in, this is Citibank, right? Citibank went straight up. Straight up. Like, it's funny. The banking system knows QE is here, but Bitcoin does not. Instead of long Bitcoin, short the banks, 2025 was long the banks, short Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin down here, the Bitcoin futures contract. What's wrong with this picture? This blue line should be up here. And this should probably be at the 50-day moving average, or just flat out unwind this. Like, we have a stupid thing, we'll unwind that by going up. They have a stupid thing on the upside, they'll unwind that by going down, or just range trade. I can't believe how stupid this all is. Now, of course, I can believe how stupid it is because it's been stupid for so long, people just accept it as the truth. You know how hard it is to pound a table for 100 days? Like, the only person I know that can pound a table for 100 days is Toby. Toby's like, yeah, I'm not really upset about this. I'm from 2050. You know, you listen to any of these Bitcoin maximalist podcasts, they're like, yeah, we're not going to get fooled by this. This is going to be the umpteenth time in the history of crypto where everybody goes, oh yeah, there's something terribly wrong with Bitcoin. Don't touch it. And I think people to a certain degree did the same thing with Zcash, although these other coins, you know, I think have a lot of upside. You know, if last year Zcash was Bitcoin at 500, like Zcash was old school Bitcoin. I was like, oh, this is your big chance. You know, you got any idea what happens in this market if something other than Monero wakes up, whether it's ETH or Solana or XRP or Zcash? I mean, you got to ask yourself, how many altcoins are out there that have real value propositions? You know, there's AI, there's layer ones, layer twos, and there's DeFi and lending protocols. All of these sectors destroyed. As in nowhere to go but up. Like equities have nowhere to go but range trade, and crypto has nowhere to go but up. And if you really want to, you know, in case you want to pile on, which I kind of do, even if the market goes down tomorrow on this tariff thing, even if it does, good. Okay, you know, you have ISO 20022 coins, which translated into English, that means coins that banks are going to have to use eventually to make cross-border payments and things cheaper. You know, Hedera is not above the 50-day moving average yet. Everyone's like, oh, I missed it. Dude, it's not above the 50-day moving average yet. You know, and these are altcoins that a year ago, they were the American-made cryptos. They still are the American-made cryptos. That trade may get done again, this time for real with the Clarity Act. In other words, you notice that they had this law enforcement issue with the you know, the X-Files. And then the next thing you know, a very predictable thing happens. You know, you put pressure on a U.S. president, you get war. That's it. You know, you put pressure on them with something like this, they're going to change the subject. The reason we don't have free healthcare in America, we spend $1 trillion a year on defense. You look at somebody like the Orange Man who has a very aggressive mentality, he's going to use it. He's going to use it. And then they're going to pander to their base, which is that crypto bro vote, which can go either way. You get Bitcoin at 120, you get Bitcoin at 150 by the election, they have a shot. That's the only way they have a shot. That is the only way they have a shot, is for them to be able to get on the tape and say, we moved Bitcoin, we did a strategic reserve, whatever. By the way, speaking of the strategic reserve, there's a country in the Middle East that's currently having problems, right? They're pushing back against their citizens. They hold a huge amount of Bitcoin. So does Venezuela. Be funny if you start getting like regime changes in some of these countries, whether it's through civil unrest or they use the civil unrest as an excuse to go in and do what they've always wanted to do. Either way, where's all that? Who's going to wind up with all that Bitcoin? Kind of guessing we are, right? Even if they, you know, they give them an aid package on any regime change, and conveniently that aid package sends the Bitcoin over to us. When he signed the executive order for the Bitcoin strategic reserve, they built a container. They built the Fort Knox of Bitcoin. Everybody thought they were going to go out and moon their bags. Instead, what they did was they bought infrastructure to hold huge amounts of other people's Bitcoin that they were going to just take. And we're doing it with oil and silver. Why would we not do it with Bitcoin? And when we do this, that Bitcoin's coming off the market and they're never selling it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they're eventually going to need Bitcoin as a mechanism to back U.S. treasuries. Robert Kennedy wanted to do this. I thought it was one of the most genius things. I saw him talk about it at Consensus. You know what? You issue a bond, and as part of getting that bond, you get a little bit of Bitcoin, or that bond is backed by Bitcoin or whatever. You know, we don't have to go into the whole finance structure, how that works, but you're going to be using Bitcoin and precious metals to back financial instruments at some point because it's such a disaster. So we take somebody's Bitcoin, that Bitcoin is off the market. We take 600,000 Bitcoin from Venezuela, or, you know, we wind up with custody of their Bitcoin. Like, you know, people deposit their gold at the Fed. If, you know, their Bitcoin winds up on our balance sheet. It still says their Bitcoin, but it's actually ours. Yeah, guess what? That Bitcoin is never getting sold. Never. You know, they're draining it out in 1% increments, and this is being completely ignored by the market. Completely ignored. And then if you just want something simple, you're like, okay, Bill, this is nice, but I'm home from work and I'm from Europe and I'm up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I'm trying to figure this out. You know what, folks? It looks like in the Asia time frame, silver up, risk assets up. It's just simple. Chinese stocks have been doing well. I'm not checking them right now. You know, Bitcoin mining stocks all up. Semiconductors, Bitcoin mining stocks, Coinbase up 4% today. What stops this? Like, what's going to stop silver? Nothing. Right. And in this, you know, this has to be seen to be believed. You want to talk about a crypto ghost town? Here's the crypto ghost town. Coinbase stock. This is all you need to know. I call it the one chart market update. Coinbase's stock. Yeah, well, we're done. It's over. See, not only did they have the October crash, but they had a give up trade. They didn't have the range that Bitcoin did. They just had people pack it in. People just gave up. I'm like, oh, this is never going up again in our lifetime. We'll see you in October. It's a bear market. Yeah, okay. Tell me all about it, bro. Tell me all about it. This has not taken out its 50-day moving average. And you start getting these robots, see these moving averages get broken. The robots, the AI agents, the algos, they're going to jump on these trades, especially with Magnificent 7 earnings coming out. I mean, how good can they be? How high can they jump? I mean, I'm sure they always jump over the bar, but okay, they jump over the bar. Then what? Then what? Well, it's simple. You just rotate to something else. And again, I can't believe crypto is not the something else. It's not. I mean, what else is there? What are we doing? Somebody's talking about cattle futures last night. I'm not opposed to that either. But, you know, like Circle was absurd when it first came out. I don't want to. Circle was worth like what, 60 billion? Then there was just like horrible, brutal crash. Now it is just a stablecoin company, right? But it's back to where it IPO'd. And the thing that's funny is if Ripple was worth, you know, what Circle was worth around here, yeah, it's like $30-40 billion for the company. We've already forgotten about what I call the XRP IPO, which is when crypto companies start going public. In other words, this is like a rolling bullish catalyst. Like first, either Silicon Valley or the government incentivizes Bitcoin miners to get processing power built because they're connected to the electricity grids already and have power moving towards AI. So Bitcoin miners get incentivized, either Meta or the government comes in and says, build us some processing power. Bitcoin mining companies all of a sudden don't have to sell Bitcoin. So sovereigns not selling Bitcoin. Miners possibly not selling Bitcoin. Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin every day. BlackRock buying Bitcoin every day. All of Wall Street headed for the Bitcoin ETF. Remember I told you how the Bitcoin ETF had to hold 50? That was like the big psychological level. Yeah, guess what? It held 50. We were doing crypto winter and they were holding on an even number. Like ETF people, yeah, they may see Bitcoin. Oh my God, Bitcoin's going to 70, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Bitcoin ETF just held there at 50 just fine. Just fine. And of course, if you do equities mathematics, then we're like, yeah, we better get involved here because currently it's at 53 and it's going to wind up going to 100. And by the way, the Bitcoin ETF today took out the 50-day moving average. Right? What did my old boss at Goldman say, Tony P? Buy breakouts. Buy breakouts. Market sucks tomorrow. Okay. You know, buy breakouts. And then if you can buy a dip and make money, then it's a bull market. Right now, John Legend is noting that, you know, what people are crying about is they don't have dry powder. Now, I understand that. Of course, you know, this is not to make anyone feel worse. But unfortunately, what can happen is what goes up? what no one likes, what no one owns, and no one's able to buy. Well, okay, you're able to go on Coinbase and buy it, but if you don't have the money, you can't buy it. Right? Lack of participation, like people can't participate until the market goes up. They can't buy until their existing bag goes up. So either their existing bag doesn't go up or it does, and then that creates the capital for people to start moving in when Bitcoin is above 115. Right? I mean, it's like more upside would breed more upside. People in crypto would get richer, and that money, especially if it's all in Bitcoin, can start rotating into alts. If it doesn't start rotating into alts now, I mean, even with the huge rally of today, total altcoin market cap is only at 908 billion. Total crypto market cap is only at 3.2 trillion. That's just a joke. I'm sorry, it's a joke. You know, if you look at, you know, kind of an odd chart, if you look at Chainlink versus Bitcoin, okay? In other words, Chainlink should be at 100. Chainlink's going to connect the banking system. Everyone's talking about real world assets. Morgan Stanley developed a crypto wallet today. You know, probably nothing. Chainlink is going to be involved in all of this. Chainlink versus Bitcoin is like destroyed. And it's at the 50-day moving average, and it's failed there multiple times, and people are going to expect it to fail again. They're going to expect it to fail again. They will. And then when it doesn't, everyone's going to go, oh, wait. Oh, I was just kidding about that. Just kidding. You know, the thing that's funny about crypto is, you know, we love to speculate. But then when it comes time to speculate, when everything is like destroyed and it's almost like value investing, then no one wants to play. No one wants to play. There are all these reasons why, oh, I can't touch it. I mean, I understand if you don't have the money, that excuse me, but that sucks. But, you know, like every time Toby goes somewhere, somebody goes, oh yeah, crypto. How do I do that? I really want to do that. There's no convincing people anymore that it's not funny money. They're like, oh yeah. What's funny money is what they're paying with at the counter at Costco. That's what's funny money. Like, oh yeah, how do I do that again? Toby's like, yeah, I can do Coinbase. Like, yeah, that's too complicated. Well, do the Bitcoin ETF. Well, I don't understand that. Well, do it in PayPal. Like, oh, I have PayPal. Boop. I mean, Wendy O is actively telling people, I got to get my act together and get on Facebook. She is getting views from like Boomer City on Facebook. They're running around Facebook going, oh, wow, crypto content. Oh, you know, crypto heads on YouTube don't care, but on Facebook, they're lighting it up. We don't talk to anybody our age who goes, oh, yeah, I definitely want to get some of that crypto. Everyone says it. Oh, I want to get that crypto stuff. And of course, everyone will say, oh, that's negative. All right, well, yeah, it's negative until you realize that there's literally $6 trillion in money market funds. You got boomers sitting on $6 trillion, used to collecting 5% from the Fed, from treasury bills, and that's going to end. That is going to end. They're going to be getting 1%, and they're going to be looking to put that money to work. And if you're wondering who's going to buy Bitcoin at 120, they are. They are, because they're going to look at it and go, oh, okay, well, this is where it was last year, roughly. Okay. This is how stock market people think. They're like, oh, it's unchanged. What inequities related to tech and AI is unchanged over the last year? Nothing. You know, maybe Oracle, because they monkey hammered that stock because of the amount of money that they borrowed. But when people in stock market go, oh, wow, this hasn't gone anywhere. And everybody over here is all negative. They won't even check. They will assume that that's ridiculous. The crypto people cannot be negative when Facebook is bullish. The world is upside down. They love it. We hate it. They love it. We left. Now, we left because we lost money. It's easy to be a noob and like it. I get it. But if you consider the value propositions of like data management, you know, oracles, you know, DeFi protocols that help you get staking yield on Bitcoin and Ethereum, because I'm telling you right now, that's going to be a very normal thing. They're going to be cryptocurrencies. Buy these things, deposit them, get a yield. XRP, Solana, and ETH, particularly Solana and ETH. You know, you have yield via the Ethereum ETF already. And everybody thinks the staking thing is not happening. No one's taking this seriously at all. And I know because, you know, you've seen these rallies and none of these rallies last for more than 2 days. Okay, well, that'll be true until Monero goes to 1,000. Monero goes Zcash or Monero goes silver. And I would like fall over in my chair if Zcash and Monero went at the same time. Like there's probably a rotation going on from Zcash to Monero. Okay. But it doesn't have to be Zcash. It could be ETH. It could be Solana. It could be XRP. I mean, if Dash can go up 50% in one day and is nowhere near where we think it can go in terms of a target, like, are you going to tell me this market can't go up a lot? Like a lot. When most altcoins, especially altcoins that have like, you know, ZK Sync, AI-based thinking, you know, like someone was asking the other day about TAO. We covered it. And again, trying to work with my vertical people, leave a comment down below if you can or cannot see the charts. I'm trying to help you guys out by staying in the middle. TAO was doing a bird on a wire, getting ready to fly on the 50-day moving average. And TAO is about to go green on money flow, is going green after this monster give up trade. Monster. This red on red in LuxAlgo, I mean, this is everybody just going, I am out. So it's out, and I'm not coming back. That's what just happened. And that doesn't get turned around in a day. You don't have 100 days of complete despair and turn that around in one day. People won't come back until it's obvious, as one guy says. Right now, it's not obvious. When it is obvious, you're going to have people buying, you know, I don't know. You're going to have them paying any price to get involved because they're not going to remember. They're going to remember why they liked it to begin with. Verhoofdy says boomers aren't looking at crypto. Yeah, they will if their stock portfolio stalls. You know, they're used to getting 20% a year. If it goes down or it goes sideways and crypto is mooning, they're going to start looking at it. The whole world is looking at silver. I got a TikTok video with like 88,000 views from a couple of weeks ago called the Silver Black Swan. Anytime I publish anything on TikTok about crypto, 300 views, 400 views. You know, the end of the Bitcoin IPO. Here it is. We'll just do the TikTok sentiment index live. I don't know if you can see the numbers. The end of the Bitcoin IPO, 600 views. Silver, the 75-year event, 3,000 views. Silver pushing 3,000 views. China and silver, 7,000 views. The system said it was trending. The Silver Black Swan, 88.8 thousand views. Yup. Fading Crypto Twitter, 888 views. Everyone on TikTok looking for silver at $88. If you had tried to talk about silver on TikTok when silver was at $30, that would have been total crickets. Crypto is now in that space. No one is interested. No one is interested. Now I understand why no one is interested. Like Polymarket's easier, more fun. But everyone's like, crypto. I heard crypto isn't cool anymore. Okay. Crypto isn't cool anymore until Skynet does an emergency broadcast network move on Times Square billboards and announces itself to the world, or gets very active in financial markets. This is going to happen. I mean, the chat GBT functionality alone, you know, it used to take us hours with more than one person working on it to develop a title, a description, and a thumbnail. If I get it right, I can do it in 5 minutes now. 5 minutes if I kind of hit it right. If I have to make some adjustments, it's 15 minutes. We can now proliferate videos thanks to deep research, and he's done that. This is like, and every time it gets better. Like I was talking to Toby about some things that she does with the machine. And she's like, yeah, I can't believe how much better this is than when I used it 6 months ago. So we're on ChatGPT 5.2. What's the world going to look like when we're on ChatGPT 7? And how far away is that? They have ChatGPT 7. They just can't get the hardware. They don't have the hardware. Like, Google limits, you can generate a certain number of things per day. If you want to try video, again, they limit how much video you can do, and then you have to pay $20 to do more. This is not going away. If anything, it's not only is it not going away, it's not a bubble, and it hasn't been traded in crypto at all. Like, that's what's funny. Like, oh yeah, AI is a bubble. Oh my God, AI is a bubble. Really? Okay. Well, how can it be a bubble if like the most speculative asset in the whole freaking world is destroyed? Like, that's the argument that AI is not a bubble. Like, you have all the things that the AI systems would use to participate in markets dead. The last man out the door, turn out the lights. Last guy out, make sure you turn out the lights. That was days ago. That was days ago. There was no one involved, no one on YouTube. How long do you think it's going to take before everybody goes, yeah, we should go back to Cryptoville? A while. You're going to need real upside before people come in and go, yeah, I need to come back, especially in Bitcoin. Like, sovereigns are taking Bitcoin off the market. The strategic Bitcoin reserve is happening, just not in the way you thought. The politicians have to get the Clarity Act done, and the Fed has to cut rates massively, and that's the big one. That's the big one, and people have not figured this out yet. Powell steps up to the podium in February and goes, well, folks, this has been fun, but today's my last day. Yeah, Bitcoin up 25% that day. That'll be your God candle. Because, if they install the new Fed chairman now, QE starts 5 minutes. QE will start. He'll scan his badge at the door, and QE will have started by the time he gets to his office. They have to do it. They have to unlock housing. People can't buy a home because the market's locked. I realize housing affordability, people can't qualify for mortgages, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So the market has to adjust so these things can change. Right now, housing is not a functional market. It's not. They have to get housing functioning again. Now, if that means prices have to go down, that means they have to outlaw these big firms like BlackRock from buying single-family homes. I don't know. And that's probably not going to happen if BlackRock's running the Fed, but they have to get the market unlocked. They may have to come in and start buying mortgage-backed securities again, or they may have to come in, like Robert Kennedy wanted to do, like a special government bond offering at like a much lower yield in order to finance or subsidize people buying homes for the first time. Like, all this stuff that was talked about at the election that was optional to these guys, and they did none of it. They did none of it. They're going to have to do some of it, or they're going to have to do all of it, or they're going to lose the midterms badly. Like, you got to ask yourself a very simple question about the U.S. midterm election. Not so long ago, the current president of the United States was in a New York City courtroom, found guilty of a serious charge, and was going to Rikers Island. Why don't you stick into a chatbot and see what Rikers Island is like, and then compare that to Mar-a-Lago? That was happening. That wasn't rumored to happen. That was happening, right? He was going to jail. Do you think he wants to go back to jail, or he wants these characters going after him and his family again? Yeah, I don't think so. So they're going to pull out all the stops. He doesn't want to do this whole impeachment thing. He doesn't want to do any of that again. They're going to pull out all the stops. And once they get done making all the special interests happy on the geopolitical front, they're going right back to get that crypto bro vote. I'm convinced. And that's the Clarity Act. That's the strategic reserve in some fashion. And most importantly, the Fed. I mean, everyone's like, Mark Pelra says, Beam is in the gutter, super cheap. Odd Dark, giving me some love. I appreciate that. Right? YouTube members. Like, frankly, I'm gonna be honest with you. We have kind of a thing where people who are in Patreon and in the YouTube member area, we call them the Spartans. Like, if you're in Patreon, you're a Spartan. If you stay in YouTube membership for a year, you become a Spartan colonel. You want to talk about a bunch of guys who stayed, guys and gals who stayed with 100 days of pain. Those are the Spartans, and we salute you, right? Like members, Odd Dark, T-Bone, right? Joey Zaza, a Spartan colonel, welcome. Welcome, right? Huckleberry Native, a regular. It's funny, when we do this thing at a different time, we start seeing the regular. So again, if you like the new time or you don't like the new time, now is the time to speak up in the comments. Yes, that helps engagement farming, but I need to know, right? The great Santini, ADL, what's going on? Is this a breakout? Yes. Anything above the 50-day moving average is a breakout. Crypto Plumber, what's going on? You also get priority on comments with the $4 YouTube membership. I suggest coming back sooner rather than later. I mean, I got documents that look like this and associated PowerPoints that I got too many documents. I got to need another printer because I still have to look at paper. And of course, we want to welcome everybody who's watching on TikTok. Please let the Eagle King know through the comments on TikTok if this is working for you. Macro Sapien, Rock Lobster, a #1 consumer of our content. Welcome, sir. We appreciate you. Crypto Plumber is here, $90 silver. Mark A. Bisetio, welcome. Welcome to the show. John Legend, Verhoofty, wrong again. Love you, man. Chill AX, what's going on? Flying Tiger, John Legend, Smashatoshi. The AI backlash will be enormous and epic. And you know what? This is what the guy he used to be Ben Gertzel, maybe is his name, from Singularity.net, right? That used to be what it was called, AGIX. Yeah. I watched a speech by him after, it was like an after event, after he was on the main stage with Edward Snowden. Everybody who saw that wishes that they recorded it. Basically, he's like, you got to own a piece of the AI future. The AI future is going to do things that scare people. I don't need to talk about that. You get the idea. For $3.99, go get the Terminator and a Matrix movie. And then buy get involved in decentralized AI. It's AI for the people. It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to, you got $1 million to put in NVIDIA stock. And is that even the right stock? I mean, it probably is, because the demand for chips is just, it's unstoppable. The demand for chips is unstoppable. So what is your alternative? Well, I know no one wants to hear this, but when it comes to AI, when in doubt, Bitcoin. If every centralized structure fails, if every valuation model changes, if everything changes, Toby said this a year and a half ago. Everything you use to understand markets and crypto, throw it out the window. There's going to be new math. People do not associate Bitcoin with AI in the future. Bitcoin maxis focus on dollar debasement, gold, future of money. And it's all true. It's all true. Not enough people look at Bitcoin itself as some kind of transitionary mechanism, or some kind of mechanism that you can use to benefit from AI. And that goes for all of crypto. You know, like everyone's like, well, the AI future is coming. And all these thought leaders, they write all these pieces. And they do talk about Bitcoin, but they don't talk about the rest of the market, which is fine because I'll do that. Okay, this accent is New Jersey. So there's Philadelphia, Jersey, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. I don't know if there's a Queens accent, but all 5 of those accents are distinct. And then Boston is more nasal. And the reason these accents exist in the tri-state area in New York is because the faster you have to move, the thicker the accent gets. If I go back to New York, I have to move so fast, you know, and then the profanity comes in because that's what you need to get everyone's attention. Can't really do much of that in Texas. If you want to watch a 2-hour movie, you'll get done in 90 minutes in New York. And when New York discovers the need for cryptocurrency because they're coming to take their property, like I can't believe that the former mayor of New York City issued a meme coin at like 500 million market cap and then rugged the project. Unconscionable. I mean, I guess the deep state didn't pay him enough. But, you know, what is going to happen if Zohran Mamdani sees that and starts giving crypto the stink eye in New York City? Or starts thinking your bank account is his bank account. He said public transportation was going to be free and then turn around and had to raise the bus fare. So whatever it is he promised people, that's going to filter through at some point, and that's going to aim down at people with money. Now, I'm not trying to buy into that hysteria. I mean, I was kind of into that story because it was, you know, close to home. But these privacy coins are mooning like they're mooning for a reason. People have not figured this out yet. Everyone's like, oh, Zcash. Oh, Monero. Yeah. And no one's asking why DCs. Now, if you want to know who's going to tell you, you want to know who will tell you why privacy coins are moving. It's the antivirus guys. Because all these guys do, literally, is build stuff. They have cartoons about everything related to privacy and McAfee. They have a podcast read by McAfee's AI agent voice. And then you have these clothes. Zero is not an affiliate thing. It's like they gave me these clothes to wear on the air. And every time I wear them, everybody asks, did I share the screen? Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. Everyone asks, like, what are these? What's this interesting clothing? Yeah, they block facial recognition. And they got this whole list of products, like, I don't know, like, you know, stuff that blocks your location, stuff that allows you to upload and download without them knowing it's you. I mean, literally, it's like there's like 16 things that they did that you can pay for with this little crypto. And they're going to have their own privacy project. So if you want to know why Monero is moving, go look at this site. Go look at what these characters are doing. They'll tell you. Go in the Telegram. I mean, it's not a shill. It's a point of information. Hello from Ecuador. Welcome. New York City coin already rugged. I don't know, but I heard that went badly. I will see. But I mean, there are people out there who will explain to you, like, you know, they're still trying to get people's attention. The guy that runs antivirus is on like various, like, you know, streams in the Solana network with Janice McAfee doing like, you know, trying to be like, hey, privacy. Hey, look at us. The entrepreneurial side of privacy has not gone up yet at all. And nobody is curious as to why Monero and Zcash are mooning. I mean, I know Zcash had a lot of help from like the Winklevoss twins and Twitter. Okay. Just coming across the table right now. Oh, here we go. The Chainlink ETF has been approved and will start trading on the New York Stock Exchange. Look at that. You know why Chainlink? Somebody told me why Chainlink doesn't go up, right? They do these business development deals. Everybody buys beforehand. They buy the rumor. The deal gets announced. They sell. They do this on huge leverage, and Chainlink goes nowhere. And what happens when equities people come in and go, wait a minute, this is the thing that's going to connect the whole world? Morgan Stanley is building a crypto wallet. I mean, how the hell does that get connected to the rest of the world? Chainlink. I mean, this is not complicated. I mean, there are certain aspects, there are certain nuanced DeFi and AI plays. Like, for example, let's give you a free one. Like OLAS keeps coming up. We did a lot of that last year. We got a couple of picks that just keep coming up and coming up. TAO is one of them. But on the other hand, it's not complicated. TAO is not complicated. Chainlink is not complicated. You know, I know nobody wants to hear this, but, you know, there's a case out there that Chainlink is going to be more used by banks than XRP. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Like if that was actually traded, like we can get on YouTube and wah, but this hasn't been traded yet. What happens when it is? Right? I miss McAfee. McAfee's already back, dude, as an AI agent. People forget this. The guy is back. Just no one wanted to listen. Trust me. When it's either Zoran or Skynet or any Palantir or any of these characters, anything. When this happens, when you find out why the privacy coins are moving, okay, you're going to see price action that you haven't seen in a long time. Zcash, mark my words, Zcash was the warm-up. Zcash was the beginning of how this crypto market can trade in the big cryptos, in the dino coins, in cryptocurrencies. If you quit Patreon, you might want to come back, and you definitely should be listening to Toby in the YouTube member area. If we're about to embark on the biggest thing anyone's ever seen, particularly with a monster move into this eclipse, now might be a good time to get involved. Links are down below. Links are down below. Links are on my Twitter. That's the market update for today. We will see you tomorrow.